it's me, that one weirdo who's asking for a bunch of obscure video game characters for multiverses.
You're wasting your time!
Here to bring you a quick Nick Brawl video.
Why the hell would you do this? What good does it do you?
With the recent release of Hugh Neutron and Rocco looking like he might potentially be the last DLC character, I figured this might be the last time Nick Brawl might be relevant, so might as well throw my most wanted characters if by some miracle they do end up getting more DLC, or even better, we get a sequel with lots of improvements. I know I'm late to this party by like a year, but hey, I always wanted to do a countdown video in my lifetime, so I can finally check that off my bucket list. I'll make a top 10 for multiverses soon after. Before we start, this is my list and my opinion. Those of you who watch my content know that I go for really deep cuts. Sorry if a character you guys like is really low or not on here at all, but again, my list, my opinion. With that out of the way, let's get started. And before we even start, I already have to throw some never ever characters as honorable mentions. These characters have some relation to Nick, but in all reality are most likely not getting in due to certain circumstances which I'll explain. Usagi. While mostly being associated with the Turtles, he's actually from his own comic series and not actually a full TMNT character. He guest stars in each of the Turtles incarnations, minus Rise, and is overall a cool character. The problems arise from him being not owned by Viacom and fans of Nick Brawl already feeling like we have too much TMNT reps. And if we did get somehow more, Raph and Donnie should be the ones in before Usagi, so we probably ain't seeing the Samurai make it in. Hey, at least he has a better chance than some of the other indie comic characters the Turtles have crossed over with. The 3 Delivery Trio, Sue, Sid, and Toby. These 3 are skilled martial artists who fight evil to protect their home. Any of these 3 would be cool fighters, but they are actually not owned by Nick, but a company called Cake Entertainment. And the series fans actually want from them is none other than Kepo Mikey, so they will most likely be passed over for him. Shame this series doesn't get talked about as much. It was totally ahead of its time with its anime-inspired fights and setting. Glitch from Garfield caught in the act. If we were to get another Garfield rep, it will most undoubtedly be Odie or John, but honestly, I would rather have the villain from the fun Garfield Genesis game. Glitch only showed up once and never again, which is a damn shame. I really love his creepy robot design and that crazy laugh of his. Sexy is forgotten, but hey, that's the fate of most original characters created for a licensed game. Tormund from Neopets, the Dark Fairy. At one point in time, Neopets was owned by Viacom and even had the Nickelodeon label. In 2005, a video game was released that started a yellow loop, a wolf-like Neopet, and nobody played it. Not even me, because I was a child and had no money. So I had to pretend to be playing the game with a card I got of him in a Neopets McDonald's toy. Anyways, with Viacom no longer owning Neopets, his chances are certainly dead in the water as no one really talks or cares about the Neopets IP anymore.
Crypto.
Back, I said!
But he will no doubt be fun to play as with his night-inspired moveset and possibly being able to call on Roberto for some magical help. Anyways, those were my honorable mentions. Now it's their real list. Timmy Turner from the Fairly Odd Parents. Let's get this out of the way. Along with the next character, Timmy should have been in the game since the beginning. He no doubt would call upon Cosmo and Wanda for some wishes that could hurt opponents, not to mention using their various disguises as weapons. He can also use various items and abilities given to him during his adventures like his heat vision. Timmy certainly deserves to be in the game due to being the second most popular Nicktoon behind SpongeBob, and if not DLC then definitely in the sequel. Sucks that his series has a licensing issue that prevents him from getting to new crossovers and Viacom being too cheap to pay for whatever licensing fees they need to port over, unless of course it's for a mobile game. Jimmy Neutron. Like I said with Timmy, he should have also been in the game from the start. Yeah, it was pretty funny when he was announced to be in the game and not his son. Andy's really fun to play as, but man, we're really getting more and more instances of fighting games passing over the main character for someone else. I'm not really that big of a fan of Jimmy, but for those who are, I feel your pain. Trust me, I do. Anyways, we all know that Jimmy would fight with his inventions from the show. That's a no-brainer. Part of me hopes we can get the Unite gang back together again. With THQ remaking the old Nick games, they have a better chance at that than a Nicktoons Unite remake, but I would still like to see them in Nick Brawl more though. Bessie from the Mighty Bee. A hyperactive Girl Scout who wants to collect all the honeybee badges to become a swole bee-themed superhero. I used to watch the show back in the day, and while nothing too spectacular, and a bit gross at times, I enjoyed it for what it was. Bessie has a lot of skills that would translate well in a fighting game. She was already in one, that being Nick Super Brawl 2, and was my main in that game. While her show nowadays is forgotten, I think Bessie could still bring something fresh to the table, potentially being a rushdown type character. Just give her the moveset she had from Super Brawl, along with some new moves involving her Honeybee scout skills. And of course, put her Mighty Bee persona somewhere in her moveset. Boog from Fanboy and Chum Chum. This is just my meme pick. I actually don't care for Fanboy and Chum Chum, but I could totally see Boog as a fighter, even if the series from isn't really all that liked, aside from the ironic memes that have spawned from it. He would totally be a large heavyweight brawler and use his signature bops. That's all I have to say. I think he would be another funny meme pick, but Fanboy and Chum Chum would definitely get in for him.
I am gonna unleash my ultimate weapon, the H-Spot. Prepare for death,
Miko from Glitch Tex. Glitch Tex is a massively underrated series. Trust me, it's good. But to no one's surprise, Nick screws it over by having it thrown to Netflix jail instead of airing it on their main channel. Though they probably would have shoved it to Nicktoons Network to die after expecting it to achieve SpongeBob numbers. Anyways, Miko is my choice for a fighter. With all her video game abilities from her show and her pet giant bird Ally giving her a boost, she is basically made for a fighting game. We need more modern Nick shows in this game that's not just Loud House. And Glitch Tex is one of those few action shows Nick has where characters can actually throw down and fight. Also, I'm choosing Miko instead of High Five because I just like her design more. Though an Ice Climbers type of tag team mechanic would be cool. But hey, speaking of characters fighting together, the Cat Scratch Trio, Gordon, Waffle, and Mr. Blick. Now this is a show I used to watch all the time. My favorite character is Mr. Blick, but we just can't have one and not the other two. So have all three of them as one fighter, or like a tag team swapping mechanic. Moveset wise, have you guys seen how insane and chaotic this show will get at times? These cats are destroying their house in almost every episode with lasers, mechs, mystical artifacts, and more junk. I know implementing all three of them would be quite the hassle, and the creator of the show is quite controversial, but hey, rent CPR in the game, and I'm confident that the devs can make these three unlikely felines work. Also, I still have my McDonald's Mr. Blick plush somewhere in my house. He's missing an ear if I remember. The Monkey King from Monkey Quest. I'll be honest, the most exposure I had with this game is playing as Monkey in Super Brawl. I actually never played Monkey Quest itself, and now never will since Nickelodeon shut down the servers. Anyways, I'm choosing the Monkey King instead of a generic monkey or hero Mike Paw. I just love his Sun Wukong inspired design, and in the lore apparently he is one of the smartest and most powerful monkeys in the land of Ook, being able to use magic and fight with his staff. The Monkey King would definitely be a deep cut character and unlikely in making the roster, but it would still be nice seeing Nick acknowledge one of the two video game related series they own again. El Tigre. While there's two characters above him in my list, if only one more character could get in Nick Brawl's DLC, I would say that Manny, aka El Tigre, should get the spot. Like I said before, Nick has few characters that can actually throw down, El Tigre being one of them. He would no doubt be one of the easiest characters to translate into a fighter, with his iconic grappling hook claws and other abilities like shooting his claws like projectiles and being able to turn into a tornado.
Hold up, wait a minute.
His creator is the only Nick creator actively campaigning for his inclusion, and I think the devs should definitely throw him a bone. Also, I had the El Tigre Happy Meal toy from McDonald's when I was younger.
Hey look! The Miracle City volcano!
Tak, my beloved game series. How could the world forget you? I totally blame that awful TV show. Anyways, another seasoned fighter, Tak would no doubt fight with his Juju abilities and various staffs he wielded throughout his games. Tak is the first video game related IP Nick owns and definitely deserves to be in another video game. And what better than Nick Brawl? I remember playing the first game's GBA version in my childhood for hours on end, and also using him in Attack of the Toybots a lot. The likelihood of him getting a spot as DLC or in a sequel is low, as again, only schmucks like me remember him. Sad, but hey, I can at least dream of it alongside my Happy Meal tag toy.
Once there was a little girl, a girl who could make fiends. She kept the whole town terrified, the girl who could make fiends. Then there came another girl who wanted to be friends, and Detta cannot stand her, so she plots her end.
I know what you're thinking. Making fiends? Really? Yes, really. I know the chances of a character showing up are basically zero since Nick refuses to acknowledge it, but it's my list and I look at all of a company's IPs and characters. Anyways, I have history with this show. I first watched this show back when I was in middle school, and ever since watching an episode, I was obsessed with this show. I watched it whenever it was on TV. I watched all the web episodes and constantly drew all the characters. Oh yeah, the characters. While I'm okay with any character getting in, and Vendetta seems like the most obvious choice with her fiends and Grudge the hamster, I honestly prefer Charlotte. While looking like a sweet and caring girl, she's actually a menace to society, being able to cause as much destruction as one of the themes of the show. This cartoon was a big part of my life, and inspired some of my dark humor in my writing, so it would be a dream come true seeing it show up again in any shape, way, or form. Anyways, that's my list. Nick Brawl may have not lived up to people's expectations, but it's still a well-made and fun game for the most part, and I'll continue to play it for years to come, whether that be the original or a potential sequel in the near future. I'll make a multiversus character top 10 eventually. Right now I'm busy with another crossover platform related project. Until then, see ya.